Greetings! I am Herbert Erperderp, and today I'm going to assemble these Flames of War Panthers and Jagd Panthers. This box of 15mm scale plastic models has enough parts to allow for both to be built. Kind of. On the back of the box we can see assembly instructions in the form of an exploded diagram for both vehicles showing the common lower hull. There's also pictures of painted examples. Let's have a look inside the box. There are 2 sprues for each tank. There's a smaller sprue with the tracks, guns, and other odds and ends, and this one with all the hull parts and some more details. For the most part, they're very well cast and very nicely detailed. Unfortunately, the side skirts for these tanks had these sink marks in them. You could fix it with putty or use this other set of skirts, though this set will need to be modified in order to fit as the guide parts on the rear are too large. Also included are these decals, though one row of the crosses looks a bit messed up. There are some metal crew figures and plastic crew figures, which I think look much better than the metal ones. Okay, the first thing I want to do with these is magnetize. This is a bit different to the usual magnetization, as there are only 5 lower hulls for 10 hull tops. They will need to be magnetized if I want to be able to swap them out. I'm using magnets with a diameter of 10mm here. I glued one roughly into the center of the lower hull. For the Jagd Panther I used styrene strip to build a kind of holder for the magnet so it will be suspended over the magnet in the lower hull. I did similar for the Panther upper hull using the same strip styrene. The magnets hold the pieces together quite well, though the parts are still able to slide back and forth. Not perfect, but it does the job. Next I assemble the lower hulls. This is really easy. The parts needed a tiny bit of cleanup, and then the exhaust pipes can be glued onto the hull rear, which then can be glued to the rear of the lower hull. Next, the tracks go on. I'm really pleased by these one-piece tracks. The detail on the outside of the tracks is really good, though it doesn't extend all the way to the bottom, but that's okay. I glue them on and they fit very nicely. Lower hull complete. Now onto the upper hull of the Panther. I glued on the gun cleaning kit tube and the hull machine gun. There are options for night fighting vision devices, though I opted to leave them off. I did, however, add the spare track links. Now onto the turret. I really like that the base of the turret was 2 simple pieces to glue together. Super easy. Next I glue on the 2-part gun mantlet. I like that this is 2 parts rather than a single piece because it allows for some movement. Then on goes the commander's hatch. And then I work on the gun. It does have some mold lines that need to be cleaned up, and the end of the barrel is solid, so as usual I drill that out and tidy it up with my knife. Just adds that little bit more realism. Then the gun is glued into the mantlet. This is one with which you have to be careful to put the gun on straight. There is no guide to ensure correct positioning of the muzzle brake. Next I glue a magnet into the recess in the bottom of the turret, ensuring the magnet polarity is consistent with the magnet inside the hull. Now all that's left to do is to add any additional details such as spare track links or perhaps a spare wheel. There's one Panther complete. The strength of the magnet isn't particularly strong, but it does the job well enough. Now onto the Jagd Panther. I started by gluing in this pocket for the main gun. And then onto the details. I glue on the hull machine gun cleaning kit holder, and both of the hatches for the roof. I used my knife to ensure the hatch is aligned correctly. Next the gun is added. Just like the Panther's gun, this one also needed some cleaning up and drilling out. It can then be glued in. Unlike the Panther, this gun has a mantlet that helps determine which way is up. Finally, extra details can be added like spare track links and another wheel. I really like that Battlefront included spare wheels in this kit. Let's have a look at the Panther compared to the Plastic Soldier Company Panther that I built a while ago. You can see that the Battlefront version is slightly larger, a little taller, a little longer, and ever so slightly narrower. Both models are fairly well detailed. There are parts of both tanks that I like better than on the other. For example, I like Battlefront's hull MG and Plastic Soldier Company's engine deck fans and details. Unfortunately, I don't have any other Jagd Panthers to compare with. Overall, I'm really pleased with this kit. The ability to have both almost complete Panthers and Jagd Panthers from one kit is really awesome. Of course, it would be a lot better if they had enough lower hulls to not require magnetization, but it's not really a big deal. Of course, you don't have to build both kinds of tanks, which is nice too. Personally, I already have 5 Panthers. I could have just built Jagd Panthers, but you never know when you might need 10 Panthers. I managed to get the join between the upper and lower hulls to be fairly neat, though not quite perfect. I'm happy with the result and it shouldn't be noticeable when the models are painted. The kit was really easy and quick to build. The instructions on the back of the box are clear enough, which is a good thing. At the time of this video, there wasn't much of an assembly guide on the Flames of War website, which struck me as a little bit odd. The details are really quite good, and the parts are fairly neatly cast and free of excess mold lines. The only issue I had was with the sink molds in the side skirts. Fortunately, they aren't a critical part and the other pair can be used with minor modification. These should look quite good when painted, and I'll be pleased to have them in my German army for Flames of War. I hope this video has been helpful. As always, feel free to leave comments below and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thanks for watching. Farewell.